Welcome back to the new of this family. Today's video is more than just a story, it's a reflection of the struggles, resilience, and strength of our community. Every view, every like, and every share helps amplify the voices that history has tried to silence. Together, we're not just watching, we're standing up against racism and injustice. Thank you for being here and for being part of this movement. Let's dive in. Asterisk, asterisk, the courtroom buzzed with expectation or attorneys shuffling. Papers, spectators, murmuring sotto voce, and faintly in the distance, the echo of another judge's gavel. From her high bench, Judge Eleanor Hayes watched the familiar ritual with professional calm. Today's docket, the State of Louisiana v. James Anderson. She settled into her chair, hands resting on the gleaming oak surface, and glanced down at the charges: assault, robbery, resisting arrest. A familiar pang of disappointment tugged at her heart. Another troubled defendant lost in the system. When the prisoner was let in, Eleanor's world tilted. The shackled man before her was James Anderson, her childhood friend. His shoulders stooped, his face marked by hardship, yet those soulful eyes remained unchanged. Memories flooded back. Dusty summer afternoons, racing bicycles through Hammond. Late-night confidences beneath the magnolia tree, childhood vows to protect each other. The gavel trembled in her hand. For the first time in her career, she hesitated. "Mr. Anderson, you stand accused of assault and robbery. How do you plead?" His voice, rough with disuse, answered, "Not guilty, Your Honor." Eleanor's heart pounded. She longed to pause the proceedings, to demand how his life had unraveled, but her role demanded composure. "Proceed," she commanded, voice firmer than she felt. As the prosecutor rose, Eleanor's mind spun. This wasn't just another case. This was James. She had to set aside their shared past before it skewed her judgment. Her thoughts drifted back to childhood. Hammond was a town divided by unspoken boundaries. Her family behind a white picket fence. His dwelling, a weathered home at the end of a dirt road. Their friendship had been an anomaly, a chance meeting at the creek, where she'd wandered too far and he'd offered to untangle her fishing line. That kindness deepened into secret adventures and daring dreams, like leaving Hammond forever, escaping the sideways glances and whispered objections of adults. But everything ended the summer before high school. Her father caught them chatting. On the porch, ordered her inside, and James Racine simply watched her retreat. Soon afterward, his family moved away. Eleanor buried herself in studies, law school ambitions, carrying her beyond her hometown. Yet she never forgot the boy who taught her courage. The prosecutor's opening remarks snapped her back. He outlined how James allegedly assaulted a convenience store clerk in Baton Rouge, stole cash, and was apprehended a few blocks away, cash still in hand. Eleanor studied James as the evidence was presented. Slight shifts in his posture, unreadable. Expression? Did he really do this? Or was there more to the story? When the courtroom recessed for lunch, Eleanor slipped back to her chambers. Her assistant, Margaret, approached hesitantly. "Your Honor, are you all right? You seemed distracted." Eleanor shook her head. "Just a lot on my mind." But she wasn't fine. Her buried past sat just feet away in the defendant's chair, memories she'd thought long sealed. The courtroom reconvened. Reporters poised, the clerk shuffling papers. Prosecutor Richard Powell delivered his case. Clinically, James Anderson, he insisted, was guilty. Then defense counsel Lisa Porter rose, her young confidence filling the room. "My client has maintained his innocence from day one. We will show. The assumptions made are flimsy and the real story lies elsewhere." The first witness, saw a cashier from that fateful night, testified he saw a man in a red hoodie attack and rob the store. Under cross-examination, however, his identification faltered. Poor lighting, hood obscuring the face. Then came the grainy surveillance footage. A figure in red, grabbing at the till before vanishing. The quality was too low to be conclusive. Eleanor watched every frame, wondering if that shadowed figure could truly be James. His alibi, a late-night walk home from a friend's house, hung on a witness too frightened to testify. Assumptions met skepticism in the jury's faces. Eleanor felt the weight of her role more keenly than ever. She must remain impartial, even as each moment tugged at her own memories of him. When court resumed, defense attorney Lisa Porter called Officer Daniel Harris, the arresting officer, to the stand. Harris, a burly man with a gruff manner, affirmed that he had detained James 2 blocks from the crime scene based solely on a matching description. Under Lisa's careful questioning, he admitted never finding the red hoodie shown in the surveillance video or searching the area for it. His silence spoke louder than any denial. Eleanor watched jurors trade uneasy glances. As doubt crept into the room, next, the defense presented a forensic video analyst. The expert testified that the poor quality footage offered no reliable match to James's height or build, and that the time stamp itself appeared tampered with. Prosecutor Richard Powell tried to dismiss this as speculation, but the jury's unsettled expressions revealed the seed of uncertainty. Justice, Eleanor realized, often hinges on such fissures. Then came James's own testimony. Chains clinking, he stepped up and spoke with quiet conviction. He confessed to youthful mistakes, but maintained his innocence for this crime. That night, he insisted he was simply walking home when officers stopped him without a second glance. "I fought my whole life," he told the jury, "to be seen as more than what people assume about me. All I want now is for the truth to matter." His earnest plea, raw and unadorned, hung in the air. And Eleanor felt its weight deepen her resolve. On the final morning, closing arguments began. Powell urged the jury to trust the system and the circumstantial evidence. Lisa implored them to look beyond stereotypes and consider the holes in the prosecution's narrative. Eleanor's face remained impassive, though her mind raced. Her duty was clear. She could not steer the jury, but if their verdict left room for interpretation, she would shape her final instructions accordingly. After hours of deliberation, the jury filed back in. Eleanor tapped her gavel and asked the foreperson to stand. in the case of the state of Louisiana versus James Anderson, we, the jury, find the defendant. The pause stretched unbearably. Not guilty. A ripple of gasps and murmurs passed through the packed courtroom. Eleanor restored order and addressed James. "Mr. Anderson, you are free to go. Court is adjourned." As clerks and spectators filed out, Eleanor remained seated, studying James as he signed his release papers. At last, he approached the bench. "You don't owe me an explanation," he said quietly, "but I'd like to know, why didn't you speak up? You knew me." Eleanor's throat tightened. "If I'd intervened, it could have compromised the case," she replied softly. "Had to let the law run its course." He studied her, wounded yet understanding. "Fair," he murmured. "That's the problem. Eleanor, the world has never been fair to people like me." She bowed her head. "I'm sorry I couldn't do more then, or now." He nodded once and walked away, his stride steady as he disappeared through the courthouse doors. Alone in the silent courtroom, Eleanor grasped her gavel and let the echo settle. She had upheld the law, yet the trial had revealed a deeper truth. Justice requires more than rules and evidence. It demands empathy, courage, and a willingness to challenge bias. As she descended the steps into the fading afternoon light, she silently vowed that from this day forward, her bench would stand. Not just for verdicts, but for genuine fairness and the lives it shapes. The courtroom emptied, leaving only the hushed shuffle of clerks and the distant hum of fluorescent lights. Eleanor watched James sign his release forms, each signature loosening the invisible chains of doubt that had bound him. As he stepped toward her bench one last time, the weight of their shared history hung between them. He met her eyes. "You didn't have to stay silent," he said, voice soft but steady. Her response caught in her throat. "I did to protect the integrity of the trial," she admitted. "But I wish I'd found the courage to speak sooner." His expression softened, understanding flickering in those familiar eyes. "Fair," he whispered. "The law demands rules, but justice demands heart." After he left, Eleanor sat alone before the polished wood. The gavel lay cold at her side, a reminder that authority alone cannot right what bias distorts. She rose, gathering her robes as late afternoon light slanted through the windows. With each step down the marble aisle, she resolved that her bench would champion not only verdicts, but the compassion and integrity upon which true justice depends. Though she could not undo the past, she would dedicate every ruling to a fairer tomorrow for James, and for all who walked her courtroom steps.